Part 24. Dantian has a little field. Author, The Magic Orb Zoo. Chapter 231. Although Patriarch Xiang let go of the Sword God Sect's protective formation, Demon Lord Leng Qingqing was shocked by Lin Su's sudden appearance and did not order an attack. Lin Su had not shown up in the world of immortal cultivation in the past 100 years. This sudden all of a sudden, it appeared that he was in the middle stage of nascent soul, which made Leng Weivue feel a little afraid. A discerning person can tell at a glance that the relationship between Lin Su and Zizuer is very close, but except for Xiang Patriarch and a few people from the Sword God sect, others really don't know Lin Su's true identity. After all, no one knows to pay attention to a guy who has been dead for nearly 100 years. Who are you, Your Excellency? Why do you want to meddle in my holy sect's business? Seeing Lin Su flying in front of him with a murderous look on his face, Leng Weivue couldn't help but frown and asked, although Lin Su's cultivation level was only in the middle stage of nascent soul, Leng Qingguo felt different from ancestor Xiang. There is a faint sense of oppression. A boy in the middle stage of nascent soul can actually make himself feel oppressed in the late stage of nascent soul. This is really unbelievable, and he cannot help but be ruthless and unscrupulous. Holy sect? You really want to put gold on your face? Lin Su coldly snorted, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. Are you the demon lord Leng Qingqing? Are you the one who killed my Zuer just now? Your pendant. Leng Lingyu raised her eyebrows. Her guess was indeed correct. The relationship between this boy and Zizuer was very unusual. It's just that Leng Jade Fairy Zizuer, isn't she always polite to men? When did you hook up with such a master who was in the middle stage of pill formation? Although he was confused in his heart, he could not lose the majesty of his holy lord when facing Lin Soleng. He said coldly, I am the one who did it, so what? He. After a period of silence, Lin Su suddenly laughed strangely. The laughter was not loud, but there was a chilling feeling in the ears of the demon sect monks, and even demon lord Leng Weivue frowned. Leng Qingqing was about to say something, but his pupils suddenly shrank. Just as Lin Su stopped laughing, traces of black and red gas emerged from his body. Evil spirit. This is the evil spirit condensed into substance. Leng Weivue took a breath and looked at Lin Su again. Anyone who can possess evil aura is a peerless strongman who broke out from the sea of blood and corpses. Even Leng Weivue, the first person in the demon sect, the demon lord, has only just scratched the surface of the realm of condensing death into evil, and even more so. Not to mention Lin Su's actual evil spirit. This guy is no ordinary person. Leng Qingguo's face became solemn. Immortal cultivators with evil spirits must not be taken lightly. From surprise at the beginning to slight fear later, and then to solemnity now, Lin Su has risen from a junior to an equal weight in Leng Qingguo's heart. Exist. I'm afraid the Sword God sect can't be defeated today. The evil aura was getting thicker and thicker, but strangely it did not spread. Instead, it continued to condense and compress on Lin Su's body. After a few breaths, a pair of black and red armor was formed. The surface of the armor was extremely smooth. At first glance, it seems as if the soul will be sucked into it. There are two ferocious dragon heads on the shoulders, like living creatures. The arm guards extend to the fists, and the gloves are covered with sharp black thorns. Ha! Condensate evil into armor. This guy. Demon Lord Leng Weivue took a breath of cold air and looked at Lin Su as if he had seen a ghost. As the leader of the demon sect, he knew very well what this meant. This was the highest level of using evil energy, Ningxia Kenge. This kind of armor made of condensed evil spirits is much easier to use than any other spiritual weapon armor. When other armors are damaged, they need all kinds of materials and treasures to repair them, and they may even be beyond repair because of the serious damage. The evil spirit armor is different. As long as there is evil energy, it can be repaired continuously, even if it is defeated. Recondensed out. What's more, the sturdiness of the evil spirit armor is not weaker than the armor of high-grade spiritual weapons. Who is this Lin Su, who can actually condense evil spirits into armor? Len Wuking had already begun to think about retreating. With such a perverted kid who could condense evil into armor, the Sword God sect would definitely not be able to defeat it today. Don't forget, there is an ancestor Xiang who is in the middle stage of pill formation over there. Although Patriarch Xiang was injured, a lean camel was bigger than a horse. As long as he was held back by this boy named Lin, Patriarch Xiang would be able to sweep away the remaining demon sect monks. It's not just Leng Ruo who is discerning. Xiang Patriarch and Nangong also saw it. Xiang Patriarch's mouth that he had just closed opened wide again, and his heart was like countless thunder and lightning raging crazily. What happened to Lin Su over the years? Where have you been and what have you experienced? How could it grow to such a terrifying level? What a pervert! You really want to go against our holy sect? As long as you are willing to watch and not interfere, our holy sect can share with you 30% of the proceeds after defeating the Sword God sect. I can also promise to let Xiang and his daughter go. How about that? Leng Qingqing asked reluctantly. Lin Su had already made it clear that he was going to start a fight, but if a fight really happened, he might not be able to take advantage of it. He was really unwilling to retreat because Lin Su did not reveal his identity, so in Len Wuking's view, he should only interfere in the Sword God sect's affairs because of his affair with Zi Zhou'er. As long as he offered enough benefits, it shouldn't be difficult to persuade Lin Su to stop. It's a pity that although Leng Qingguo guessed the relationship between Lin Su and Zi Zhou'er correctly, he didn't expect that even if Lin Su was a disciple of the Sword God sect, how could he stand idly by when the Sword God sect was in danger of survival? 30% of the income? Ha 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 ha. Lin Su laughed again, and in addition to the coldness in his eyes, there was a trace of ridicule. The Demon Lord is really generous. But I am a disciple of the Sword God section. If I really agree to your terms, if you stand back and watch, won't you become a shameless and repetitive villain, making the world laugh at you? What, you are a disciple of the Sword God sect? How is that possible? Leng Qingguo was shocked. With Lin Su's cultivation strength, if he was really a disciple of the Sword God sect, how could he be so unknown? You must know that even the ancestor Xiang of the Sword God sect is only at the middle stage of nascent soul, and his strength may not be as good as Lin Su. This senior Lin is from our Sword God sect? Why have I never heard of him? That's right. Doesn't our Sword God sect only have an ancestor at the nascent soul stage, Xiang Patriarch? Not only was Len Wuking in disbelief, but all the disciples of the Sword God sect also looked at each other in shock. You guys know nothing. He is Lin Su, my brother Lin Su. Suddenly, an excited voice sounded like thunder, and a golden light shot out from among the disciples of the Sword God sect and arrived in front of the mountain gate. Who could it be if it wasn't Zhang Yunfan? But at this moment, Zhang Yunfan looked really miserable. Not only was his body covered in blood, but his left hand was empty. It was obvious that it had been cut off at the shoulder level. His pale face had a sickly blood-red color and he looked at Lin Su excitedly. Lin Zi, is it really you? Are you not dead? Are you back? In the trembling voice, a line of tiger tears left Zhang Yunfan's eyes and down his face. A short, fat foundation-building monk from the Sword God sect flew up with his sword and chased Zhang Yunfan. He said anxiously, Uncle Zhang, you are too seriously injured. Use your true energy rashly. Go back with your disciples to heal. As soon as the short and fat monk finished speaking, he saw a figure appearing next to Zhang Yunfan like a ghost, and he supported Zhang Yunfan. It was Lin Su. Who did it? Lin Su's eyes were completely blood-red at this moment. Looking at his good brother's broken arm that had not completely stopped bleeding, Lin Su felt like his heart was twisting in a knife. With his strength, he could easily tell at a glance how serious Zhang Yunfan's injury was. Not only was his left arm broken, but there was also a destructive force similar to dark demonic energy in the meridians of his body that was constantly destroying Zhang Yunfan's vitality. It can be said that Zhang Yunfan was able to fly to the mountain gate entirely with the support of his breath. It's Nangong Yufang. It's Uncle Zhang who was injured by Demon Sect's Dao Lord Nangong Yufang. Zhang Yunfan looked at Lin Su with trembling lips, and was so excited that he burst into tears. The short, fat monk suddenly stretched out his hand and pointed at Nangong, who was 2 feet away behind Demon Lord Len King Guo, and said in a hateful voice, "Nangong Yufang." Lin Su glanced at Nangong Yufang coldly, supported Zhang Yunfan and disappeared in an instant. The next moment, he had returned to the platform of the Sword God section. He took out a bottle of healing elixir and fed it to Zhang Yunfan. At the same time, he stretched out his hand to touch Zhang Yunfan's broken arm. He grabbed it with his fingers and claws, and suddenly a black smoke was pulled out from where Zhang Yunfan's broken arm was. It was the demonic energy that Nangong Fang left in Zhang Yunfan's body to destroy it. Yunfan, follow this exercise method to heal your injuries. After getting rid of the demonic energy that destroyed Zhang Yunfan's body, Lin Su stretched out his hand, and a green light flew out from his fingertips and disappeared into Zhang Yunfan's eyebrows. Suddenly, a mysterious skill appeared in Zhang Yunfan's mind. Eternal Lotus Heart Technique. Linzi, this is. Immortal Lotus Heart Technique is the eternal secret skill of the Master of Life. Although the effect will be greatly reduced without the Immortal Lotus Heart seal on the body, compared with other healing techniques, it is no different than clouds and mud. Zhang Yunfan is now masters in the late stage of pill formation have not spent hundreds of years in vain. They can see the value of this technique just by silently reciting it once. They bluntly say that if this technique is leaked out, it will definitely set off a revolution in the world of immortality. The Bloody Storm. Lin Su passed such a peerless magical skill to him without blinking an eye. Zhang Yunfan was so excited again that he didn't know what to say. This is a brother. There is no room for weakness between us brothers. Let's heal our wounds quickly. Lin Su patted his good brother's other shoulder to comfort him, then turned to look at Demon Sect Taoist Nangong Yufang behind Len King Guo, showing a ferocious smile, "Brother, I will avenge you." With a movement of his body, Lin Su disappeared from the spot and appeared next to Demon Lord Len Weivue like a ghost. He stared at Nangong, the second master of the demon sect, as if he were nothing, and said in a cold voice, "Break your arms by yourself, make amends to my brother and I will spare your life." Dantian has a little field. Author, The Magic Orb Zoo. Chapter 232. Deathly Silent. Strong. Too strong. How confident and domineering does one have to be to say I'll cut off my arms to make amends and I'll spare your life? You have to know that the other party is an old ancestor in the early stage of the nascent soul, and one of the 4 great Dao lords in the demon sect, Nangong Yufang, whose status is second only to the demon lord Len Wuking. This is a well-deserved great ancestor among the 5 major immortal sects, so how come in Lin Su's words, he is like a little ant that can be easily crushed to death with just a stretch of the hand? At this moment, the cultivators of both the demon sect and the sword god sect opened their eyes and mouths wide, staring at the domineering figure in the field, and felt their hearts and minds shaken. Too domineering. This senior Lin Sulin is really domineering. My sword god sect actually has such a senior master. As disciples of the sword god sect, we are really proud of it. After a long silence, the sword god sect's mountain gate suddenly erupted with thunderous cheers. The morale of the sword god sect disciples, who were originally forced into a dead end by the demon sect, suddenly soared. There is no doubt that it is too domineering and too face-saving. Compared with the sword god sect disciples, the demon sect cultivators looked lifeless. They were all pointed at and scolded. Their own Daijun and Saint Lord did not show any expression. Isn't this a typical coward? The performance of the two big guys made them, the younger brothers, feel discouraged. In fact, the demon sect cultivators wronged Nangong Yufang. He was not afraid of Lin Su, but he did not expect the other party to be so arrogant. He was stunned for a while. Nangong Yufang is a top master in the early stage of Yuanying. Even the great ancestors of the five major immortal sects are of the same generation as him. When has he ever been looked down upon like this? As for the demon lord Len Wuking, he had other plans in mind. Lin Su was now targeting Nangong Yufang. He just took this opportunity to observe Lin Su's true strength. Only by knowing yourself and the enemy can you win every battle. Too much bullying. Too much bullying. Awakened by the cheers of the disciples of the Sword God sect, and aware of the disappointment and contempt cast by his disciples, Nangong Yufang was almost so angry that he vomited blood. His face was red and almost dripped blood. He roared to the sky, and the violent aura of the early stage of Yuanying burst out. All the cultivators with strength below the late stage of Jindan felt as if their chests were struck by lightning and almost vomited blood. Humph. Lin Su also noticed the situation of the Sword God sect's disciples. With a cold snort, he waved his hand and set up a barrier in front of the mountain gate, completely blocking Nangong Yufang's pressure. The disciples of the Sword God sect breathed a sigh of relief. It seems that you are unwilling to cut off your arms. Then I will help you. As soon as the cold voice came out, Lin Su's figure disappeared like a ghost. Nangong Yufang felt a chill in his heart. The word bad just flashed through his mind, and his back was hit hard. The whole person was immediately hit by an unparalleled force and flew forward, hitting the mountain of the Sword God sect heavily and sinking deeply into it. Hiss. A sound of inhalation sounded, and everyone stared at the deep human-shaped pit on the mountain with dull eyes, and their hearts were shaking like a storm, lightning, and thunder. Are you kidding me? It was defeated in one move? Isn't the gap too big? Is this really a fight between nascent soul cultivators? Everyone was confused. Although the nascent soul cultivators in the middle stage were indeed stronger than those in the early stage, the gap shouldn't be that big, right? The dignified demon sect Dao Lord Nangong Yufang couldn't even take a single move from Lin Su. Lin Su didn't use any magic weapon at all, and he just relied on his physical body to beat Nangong Yufang away. Rightward arrow. What a strong physical body. It's simply a humanoid monster. The pupils of Demon Lord Len Wuking suddenly shrank. Among the people present, he and Xiang Patriarch were probably the only ones who could see Lin Su's attack just now. He ran behind Nangong Yufang at a speed that was difficult to see with the naked eye, kicked Nangong Yufang's body protecting true essence and blasted him hundreds of feet into the mountain. This terrifying physical strength was not much less than that of monsters of the same level. It was too abnormal. Len Wuking had already made up his mind. If he and Lin Su were to face off, he would have to keep a distance and not let him get close. He also had to prepare for protection first, so as not to repeat the mistakes of Nangong Yufang. Don't pretend. I only used 30% of my strength just now, and I couldn't kill you. Get out and continue. Lin Su didn't have any proud look on his face. He stared coldly at the pit on the mountain and shouted. Boom! The mountain exploded, and Nangong Yufang rushed out with a black and purple Wugo-shaped spiritual sword in his hand, stabbing towards Lin Su. A trifle. Lin Su didn't dodge or evade, and punched the sword. There was a loud bang, and a dazzling light burst out. The onlookers fell into a temporary blindness. When their vision was restored, everyone looked at the scene and fell into a stagnation again. Nangong Yufang, the Taoist master of the demon sect and a top expert in the early stage of the nascent soul, seemed to be strangled by an invisible hand. His face was blue and purple and he had no ability to resist. The spiritual sword in his hand was left with only a bare hilt. 2 feet away, Lin Su held a 5-element spiritual sword in his left hand in a claw shape, and pointed the tip of the sword at Nangong Yufang. "Asshole! Let me go." Being held by the neck like a duck in the air, Nangong Yufang's face turned blue and purple. He wanted to resist but couldn't muster any true energy. His cultivation had been sealed by Lin Su, just like the captured sword god sect disciples before. "Let you go? Do you think it's possible?" Lin Su looked at Nangong Yufang with contempt as if he was looking at an idiot, and said, "You dare to cut off my brother's left arm, I want you to pay with your arms." Swish! Two sword energies shot out from the five elements spirit sword, cutting off Nangong Yufang's left and right arms at the shoulders with screams. Black flames suddenly emerged from the severed arms, and in the blink of an eye, the two broken arms were burned to ashes. "Stop!" A loud shout sounded, and the demon lord Len Wuking, who had been watching the battle, couldn't help it. He raised his hand and hit a huge black magic palm towards Lin Su's back. Bang! Lin Su turned around and punched out, blasting the black magic palm apart. Looking at the gloomy demon lord, Len Wuking sneered, "Are you finally unable to sit still? You want your dog slave to test my strength? It's a good idea, but unfortunately, you found the wrong target. Let him go, I will order a retreat immediately." Len Wuking's face was very ugly. He originally thought that even if Nangong Yufang could not defeat Lin Su, he could at least test Lin Su's true strength. He didn't expect the gap between the two sides to be so big. This Lin Su's strength is definitely not inferior to his own. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Dantian has a little field. Author, The Magic Orb Zoo. Chapter 233. Let him go? Why? Lin Su sneered, and the five elements spirit sword in his hand swung out two more sword energies, cutting off Nangong Yufang's legs. The black fire burned into nothingness again. "Lin Su, don't be too cruel. Leave a way out for others, so that we can meet again in the future." Len Wuking's eyes were about to spit fire. Lin Su was simply slapping Len Wuking in the face. "Cruel? Compared to you, the demon lord, I think I am already very kind." Lin Su did not give Len Wuking any face at all. "Len Wuking, why didn't you think of leaving a way out for others when you killed my sword god sect disciples just now? Why didn't you think of meeting each other in the future when you attacked Zuir? Humph. Those who kill will always be killed. Doing wrong will always pay the price." Boom! A ball of black fire suddenly jumped up from Nangong Yufang's body. This was a mutated soul fire after combining with Lin Su's infant fire. Nangong Yufang's cultivation was now sealed, and he was completely unable to resist. He howled miserably under the burning of the black fire. "You stinky boy, you're looking for death." Len Wuking couldn't bear it anymore, and with a loud shout, he sacrificed 5 blood-red beads and smashed them towards Lin Su. Lin Su did put a lot of pressure on Len Wuking, making him extremely afraid, but he couldn't just watch Nangong Yufang die in Lin Su's hands. The vitality of a cultivator in the nascent soul stage is extremely tenacious. Not to mention just broken limbs, even if the body is completely destroyed, as long as the nascent soul is not destroyed, it can still take over another body and be reborn to practice the lost cultivation again. Nangong Yufang is one of the 4 great Dao lords under Len Wuking. To be cruel, even if all the disciples of the demon sect present died, Len Wuking didn't want Nangong Yufang to die. The 5 blood-red beads sacrificed by Len Wuking are called the 10,000 souls blood and soul beads. Each of them is made by gathering the souls, blood, and flesh of 10,000 cultivators above the Qi training stage. As soon as they were sacrificed, they brought a monstrous bloody aura and enveloped Lin Su. Blood evil spirit? Len Wuking, you use blood evil spirit to deal with me, don't you think you are too stupid? Lin Su laughed loudly, not even looking at the blood evil spirit that was surging, and urged the power of his soul to point at Nangong Yufang. Ah! The black fire was so strong that it burned Nangong Yufang's body into ashes in just 2 breaths. When Nangong Yufang's body was burned by the black fire, the blood evil power released by the 10,000 souls blood pearl also hit Lin Su, but was completely absorbed by the evil spirit armor on Lin Su's body, and did not cause any harm to Lin Su at all. And just before Nangong Yufang's body was completely engulfed by the black fire, a black light broke out of his Dantian and was about to escape to the distance. Where to escape? Lin Su looked carefully, and the black light was clearly Nangong Yufang's nascent soul. He shouted coldly and disappeared suddenly. He appeared in the direction where Nangong Yufang's nascent soul escaped as if teleporting, and grabbed it in his hand. Asshole! Let me go! Nangong Yufang's nascent soul screamed in fear, Saint Lord, save me! Oh no, how could I forget that this guy can condense into armor? The 10,000 souls blood and soul bead is useless to him. Demon Lord Len Wuking slapped his forehead and quickly took back the 10,000 souls snow and soul bead. This spiritual treasure is extremely vicious to others, but it is a great tonic for Lin Su who wears the evil armor, which will only enhance the power of the evil armor. Seeing that Nangong Yufang's nascent soul fell into Lin Su's hands, Len Wuking was anxious. Once the nascent soul of a nascent soul cultivator leaves the body, it basically has no combat power. Even a cultivator in the foundation establishment stage can easily kill it. Once the nascent soul is destroyed, it will really be a complete destruction of the soul. Lin Su, let Nangong go. I will agree to any conditions you want. Any conditions? Lin Su glanced at Nangong Yufang, who was full of fear in his hand, and grinned, but the smile looked very creepy. It sounds very tempting. But unfortunately, I don't believe you. I only want the life of this thief Nangong. Boom. The black fire rose again, but it did not burn Nangong Yufang's nascent soul, but completely wiped out the Yuan Shen in the nascent soul. Nangong Yufang's horrified expression solidified on his face. The Yuan Shen was destroyed, and Nangong Yufang had completely fallen. The remaining nascent soul was just equivalent to a pure energy body. With a thought, Lin Su put the nascent soul into the Kinkanbagwa furnace in the spiritual field space. The nascent soul of a cultivator is the condensation of the whole body's cultivation, which is definitely the most precious material for alchemy. However, using the nascent soul to make alchemy has always been regarded as a demonic way in the world of cultivation. However, Lin Su didn't care. No matter how cruel the means to treat the enemy are, it is not too much. Boy, you are looking for death. Demon Lord Len Wuking was furious and rushed towards Lin Su, but before he rushed, a purple battle armor appeared on his body. It looked high grade, and it was actually a low-grade spiritual weapon. Len Wuking had no choice. After seeing Lin Su's abnormal body, he didn't want to fight Lin Su in close combat, but the most powerful long-range attack magic weapon, the 10,000 Souls Blood Pearl, was ineffective against Lin Su. Other long-range attacks might not be able to break Lin Su's defense at all, so he could only choose close combat. However, Len Wuking was not completely unsure. The skills of the demon sect were different from those of the 5 major immortal sections. Close combat could better exert its strength. With the protection of spiritual weapon battle armor, Len Wuking no longer had to fear Lin Su's abnormal body. Boy, I want to let you know the consequences of going against my demon sect. The battle between Yuanying cultivators, especially the battle between Yuanying late-stage cultivators, can be described as piercing clouds and splitting rocks, shaking the sky and the earth. With Demon Lord Len Wuking and Lin Su as the center, a terrifying energy storm was rolled up, and all the clouds within 1,000 miles were evaporated. If it weren't for the timely activation of the sect protection formation by Xiang Patriarch, I'm afraid that all the floating peaks of the Sword God sect would be destroyed in the aftermath of the two people's fight. What a perverted kid. With the cultivation of the middle stage of the Yuanying, he is not at all inferior to the cold demon head in the late stage of the Yuanying. It's really strange, what kind of adventures has this kid had in these years? After activating the sect protection formation, Xiang Patriarch flew back to the mountain gate while muttering. Now he only needs to block the aftermath of the battle between Lin Su and Demon Lord Len Wuking. Unlike just now, he had to stop Len Wuking and let the sect protection formation run on its own. He didn't need to preside over it. My dear daughter, are you okay? After Zizuer sealed cultivation was released, she had recovered a lot of her injuries after the breathing exercise, but she was a little weak. At this moment, she was guarding Zhang Yunfan, staring at the mountain gate with her eyes. In the energy storm, Lin Su was fighting with the demon king Len Wuking, but unfortunately, the energy storm blocked her view and she couldn't see the two fighting at all. Zizuer didn't say anything, but she was quite worried in her heart. My dear daughter, don't worry about Suer. This kid is much more powerful than my father now. The old demon Len can't do anything to him. No one knows a daughter better than her father. Yang Patriarch naturally knew what Zizuer was thinking. He smiled and comforted her, but when he said this, he suddenly had an inexplicable strange feeling. In the past 100 years, Yang Patriarch had repeatedly advised Zizuer to forget Lin Su, but Zizuer always remained silent. Yang Patriarch always sighed bad fate misleads people, but now he had to admit that his daughter's vision was indeed much better than his own. Yunfan, how is your injury? This is. Shaking his head with some self-mockery, Xiang Patriarch turned his gaze to Zhang Yunfan who was practicing to heal his wounds, but his pupils suddenly shrank, and he exclaimed in surprise. Xiang Patriarch remembered very clearly that Zhang Yunfan's left arm was cut off at the shoulder by Nangong Yufang, but now Zhang Yunfan's left shoulder has been completely restored, and even a small part of the upper arm has grown out. Regeneration of broken limbs. This is the effect of the legendary top healing technique. When did Zhang Yunfan get this technique? Could it be Lin Su? Xiang Patriarch's gaze could not help but turn to the battlefield in the distance outside the mountain gate. He clearly remembered that Zhang Yunfan did not have this kind of heaven-defying healing technique before Lin Su appeared, otherwise he would not have fainted due to his serious injuries. What kind of adventures has this kid had in these years? Xiang Patriarch was full of curiosity, and his heart was like a cat scratching. He didn't die after self-destructing his foundation, and he reached the middle stage of the nascent soul in just 100 years. He also has the combat power that can rival the late nascent soul cultivators. In addition to this heaven-defying healing technique, as long as he is given enough time, who dares to say that there will not be another master of the God transformation stage in the world of cultivation? In fact, with Lin Su's strength, let alone the fact that the demon lord Len Wuking is only in the late nascent soul, even if he has reached the great perfection of the late nascent soul, he is still not Lin Su's opponent. It's just that Lin Su teleported all the way and suffered a lot of trauma to his body. Although he has the immortal Lotus Heart Seal, he can only suppress the injury from worsening, so now he can only exert 70% of his normal strength, otherwise he would have knocked Len Wuking down long ago. If the Xiang Patriarch knew the truth, I wonder what he would think. Boom. A quarter of an hour later, the energy storm in the sky in the distance suddenly exploded, and two figures flew out from the center of the energy storm, each of them flew thousands of feet before stabilizing their bodies. After the smoke and dust cleared, the situation of the two people appeared clearly in everyone's eyes. Both sides were injured. Lin Su's evil spirit armor had completely disintegrated, with dozens of deep scars on his body, and his face was a little pale. Demon Lord Len Wuking was not much better, his spiritual weapon armor had several big holes in it, almost scrapped, his hair was messy and his face was dusty, his injuries were no less serious than Lin Su's. Seriously, Demon Lord Len Wuking still suffered a loss. After all, Lin Su's evil spirit armor could be condensed again, as long as he recovered from the injury, and even if Len Wuking's spiritual weapon armor could be repaired, it would consume countless natural materials and treasures. Lin Su, you are so cruel. Today, my demon sect admits defeat. The mountains and rivers will not change, and the Japanese monarch will definitely get this place back. After panting for a few times, Len Wuking turned around and turned into a stream of light and flew towards the horizon. Seeing that the demon lord boss had run away, the demon sect cultivators dared not stay, and they all fled in all directions like birds and beasts, asking for monthly tickets and rewards. Dantian has a little field. Author, The Magic Orb Zoo. Chapter 234. Run away now. Lin Su was originally activating the Immortal Lotus Heart art to recover from his injuries, intending to continue fighting with Demon Lord Len Wuking, who knew that the other party would run away when he saw the situation was not good, without any hesitation. When Lin Su came to his senses from the shock, even the cultivators of the demon sect had all run away. Len Wuking walked too fast and did not take away the golden warship at all. The other cultivators of the demon sect did not dare to stop and slowly take away the golden warship. What a joke! Lord Daejun died, and even Lord Shenjun escaped. If they ran slower and were caught by Lin Su, the killing god, would they still be able to save their lives? Looking at the magnificent warship in front of him, Lin Su was quite speechless. He had wanted to get a warship for a long time, but he had never had the opportunity. He did not expect to pick up such a warship all of a sudden, and it was a top-notch warship. Taking out a storage ring, Lin Su put the warship into it. This was the large storage ring he had asked for from his father-in-law Yewuji, which was specially used to store warships. Now it finally came in handy. After putting away the warship, Lin Su turned and flew towards the gate of the Sword God section. At this moment, the Sword God sect had already fallen into a thunderous carnival. Victory! Victory! The demon sect retreated, and we won. The demon sect retreated, and our Sword God sect was saved. It's great. Thanks to Senior Lin. It was Senior Lin who saved our Sword God sect. Long live Senior Lin. The Sword God sect had been besieged by the demon sect for half a year. The best situation before was just to repel the demon sect's attack. This time, the demon sect was directly driven away, and it was under the personal presence of the demon sect's leader, Demon Lord Len Wuking. The excitement and joy in the hearts of the disciples of the Sword God sect were not to be mentioned. Of course, not everyone is happy. Some people are not happy, such as Duan Tianshang, the head of the Sword God sect and Lin Su's chief master. In the past 100 years, in the battle with the demon sect, many disciples of the Sword God sect have died, and even more than half of the elders have died, including the fifth elder Nai Zhentian, who has a grudge against Lin Su, but Duan Tianshang is alive and well. This is not to say how strong Duan Tianshang is. So far, he has only reached the late stage of Jindan, and is not even as good as Zi Zuier and Zhang Yunfan, who came later. The reason why he was able to save his life in the cruel war is entirely because of his identity as the head of the Sword God sect. Because of his special identity, he cannot easily go to the front line. If the demon sect comes to attack, there is also Zi Yang Patriarch in front to support him. If he does not take action to participate in the battle, he will naturally not encounter danger. Looking at the figure flying towards the mountain gate like a demon, Duan Tianshang felt mixed emotions in his heart. He couldn't tell what it was. There was reluctance, jealousy, but more of regret. If he had known that this cheap disciple would have such an achievement today, he would never have had that attitude at the beginning, but it was too late to say anything now. Father-in-law, I am glad to have fulfilled your mission. After landing in front of the mountain gate of the Sword God sect, Lin Su walked to the front of the Ziyang Patriarch, clasped his fists and bowed, and at the same time looked at Zi Zuier with deep meaning. Hearing Lin Su calling the Ziyang Patriarch father-in-law, and then receiving Lin Su's ambiguous eyes, Zizuir's face couldn't help but blush. When Yang Patriarch heard Lin Su's address, he was stunned at first, and then laughed. Good. Good. Good son-in-law, ha ha ha. Little Lin, where have you been all these years? How did you escape? Why didn't you come to see me all these years? Zizuir looked at Lin Su with confusion and a hint of resentment in her voice. This is a long story, I will tell you slowly later. Lin Su glanced at Yang Patriarch, and said, well, I will explain it to you. Yang Patriarch looked at the crowd with fanatical eyes around him, and nodded in understanding, yes, yes, yes. Let's talk about it later, let's talk about it later. Tianshang, you are the head of the sect, and the aftermath is left to you. This ancestor will return to Yang Cave Heaven first. Yes, ancestor, Duan Tianshang clasped his fists and nodded. Lin Su also saw Duan Tianshang, the chief master of the sect, and frowned slightly without saying anything. Duan Tianshang treated him like that back then, and the friendship between master and disciple had long since ended. Moreover, 100 years had passed, and now he had reached the peak of the middle stage of the nascent soul. The world of immortal cultivation emphasizes that those who achieve first are the first, and the other party is no longer qualified to be his master. The Xiang Patriarch took the lead in flying towards the burial sword peak. Lin Su held Zizuir's slender waist with one hand, and grabbed the right arm of his good brother Zhang Yunfan, who was closing his eyes to practice Qigong to heal his injuries, and followed with the escape light, leaving behind only the sword god sect disciples with admiration and amazement and the master Duan Tianshang with a complicated expression. In the Xiang Cave Heaven, in the inner room where the Xiang Patriarch was in seclusion. Boy, can you tell me now? Where have you been all these years? How did you become so powerful? As soon as he entered the inner room, Yang Patriarch spoke, and at the same time, he thought for a while and added, don't worry, this is Yang Cave Heaven. There is no one else except us. Even if someone can come in, this ancestor will know it first. Yang Patriarch's meaning was very clear, so that Lin Su did not have to worry and explained it honestly. Lin Su did not want to hide it, but after looking at Zhang Yunfan who was still practicing Qigong to heal his injuries, he shook his head and said, let's talk about this later, I will help Yunfan heal his injuries first. Putting his palm on Zhang Yunfan's back, Lin Su used the immortal lotus heart art to continuously pour the life force into Zhang Yunfan's body, and shouted softly, Yunfan, don't resist, practice Qigong to heal your injuries with all your strength. The life force stimulated by the immortal lotus heart seal was extremely pure, and it was more than 100 times stronger than the life force stimulated by Zhang Yunfan's half-baked immortal lotus heart art. Zhang Yunfan immediately activated the immortal lotus heart art without hesitation to direct the life force to the broken arm. A brilliant green light suddenly appeared at the broken arm. In this green light, the broken arm continued to sprout flesh at a speed visible to the naked eye, forming bones and flesh. In just a few breaths, a brand new left arm grew out of thin air. Great, so amazing. It's amazing. Zizuir opened her eyes wide in surprise and covered her mouth with her hand. This was the first time she had seen such a magical scene. Although cultivators were regarded as gods by ordinary mortals, they would still be disabled unless they had some rare treasures. The regeneration of broken limbs has always only existed in legends. I didn't expect to see it with my own eyes today. How could Zizuir not be surprised? Not only Zizuir, but also the eyes of Xiang Patriarch were shining brightly, and the look he gave to Lin Su was like looking at a rare treasure, full of fiery color. Brother, thank you. Zhang Yunfan opened his eyes and stood up, moving his new left arm, which was flexible and strong, and there was no difference from the original arm. He couldn't help but feel overjoyed, and excitedly hugged Lin Su and patted Lin Su's back heavily. Do you want to slap me to death? Lin Su glared at Lin Su in feigned anger, then laughed and patted the other's shoulder. Okay, do we brothers need to be so polite? That's right. Haha. Zhang Yunfan laughed, and suddenly his face was stern. Humph. You stinky boy, if you are fine, why don't you come back for so many years? Do you know that we all thought you were dead, and Zuir almost died for you? Do you still have me as a brother in your heart, and do you still have Zuir as your wife? Because of excitement, Zhang Yunfan's voice sounded like a roar, and Zuir's eyes were a little red. Lin Su waited silently for Zhang Yunfan to vent, then sighed and said helplessly, Yunfan, Zuir, I know I made you sad, sorry. But it's not that I don't want to come back, but I can't come back at all. Can't come back. What do you mean? The three people were puzzled. This can't be explained in 1 or 2 sentences. So, I'll take you to a place first. To explain the rebirth through possession, it is inevitable that the matter of the spiritual field space cannot be concealed. However, Lin Su did not want to hide it from the three people. Now he has enough strength and no longer needs to worry about others coveting and causing trouble. What's more, the soul green lotus left by the life master has been integrated with his nascent soul. No one can take it away. There is nothing to worry about. Lin Su's mind moved, and he urged the power of the soul to open the entrance of the spiritual field space. He pointed and said, Zuier, Yunfan, father-in-law, please come in. The three looked at Lin Su strangely, and walked in without asking anything. Lin Su closed the entrance, sat cross-legged and sank his mind into the spiritual field space. Such a rich spiritual energy of heaven and earth, even stronger than the Xiang cave heaven of this ancestor. What on earth is this place? As soon as he entered the spiritual field space, feeling the rich spiritual energy of heaven and earth, the old ancestor Xiang exclaimed, and then looked at Ye Ping'er and others beside the spiritual field with a look of surprise. His eyes focused on the jade Rakshasa Shen Baiun, and he was horrified. What a terrifying aura! This woman's cultivation is unfathomable, she is definitely a master above the spiritualization stage. Ye Ping'er and the others also discovered that Zuir and the others had suddenly broken in. Unlike Zuir and the others' surprise and confusion, because the Earth Spirit Pig is Lin Su's equal contract partner, the two can communicate with each other, so Ye Ping'er and the others have already learned about Lin Su's situation from the Earth Spirit Pig. At this moment, all their eyes are focused on Zuir. The women know that this should be Lin Su's wife Zuir, who has always been thinking about. This is a space in my body. I call it the spiritual field space. It is a place of origin. Lin Su's mind also entered the nascent soul at this time. He walked to the side of the people who were staring at each other, took out 2 tables of banquets from the Kinkanbagwa furnace, and placed them on the stone table, saying, Come on, everyone, sit down, I'll introduce you. At the same time, he turned his head and shouted in the direction of the bear's den, Senior Bear King, there are fine wines and delicious food, why don't you come and have some? Shua. As soon as Lin Su finished speaking, the huge figure of Tyrant Bear King appeared beside Lin Su, sitting cross-legged at the stone table, picking up a roasted pork elbow and stuffing it into his mouth, while the other pork elbow was hugged and gnawed by the Earth Spirit Pig that jumped onto the table. Thanks to the book friend Red God for voting for 2 monthly tickets. Thanks to the book friend Shijian Wu for voting for 1 monthly ticket. Dantian has a little field. Author, The Magic Orb Zoo. Chapter 235. Lin Su looked at the 2 foodies, one big and one small, speechlessly, sighed with a headache, and decided to ignore them for the time being. Well, let me introduce you first, Ping'er, Yu'er, Sister Shen, this is Zuier, this is my good brother Zhang Yunfan, this is... After introducing the people present to each other, Ye Ping'er and the girls were very calm. After all, they had already learned the general situation from Tu Lingzhu, and Lin Su often mentioned Zizhou and Zhang Yunfan in their ears. They have been friends for a long time, but Xianxia and the other three are different, and the doubts on their faces are even deeper. Where should I start talking about this? Lin Su scratched his head. Let's talk about the origin of this spiritual field space first. This has to start from when Yunfan and I were still in Ziyun section. Lin Su briefly explained the process of obtaining the linked yen space, including the functions of the linked yen space. Everyone was amazed. Zhang Yunfan suddenly realized that it was no wonder that Lin Su could complete the task of Master Sword Lingzi so easily. And also inherited the alchemy skills of Jian Lingzi. It turned out to be because of this magical spiritual field space. That's it. I happened to be repelled into the ruins of the underwater city in the Sea of Demons, and then I was lucky enough to discover the ultra-long-distance teleportation circle, and return to the world of immortality from the Sea of Chaotic Stars. Lin Su didn't explain it in too much detail, but it was 2 hours after he finished speaking. Everyone looked at Lin Su with complicated eyes. Even the tyrant Bear King and the earthly pig seemed to know Lin Su for the first time. Like a rising sun. It's full of twists and turns and excitement. Zhang Yunfan sighed and shook his head. Lin Zi, your experience is simply a legendary history. Compared with you, my brother and I have lived 100 years in vain. No wonder your cultivation and strength have advanced so quickly. If you put in the effort, you will get something. Zhang Yunfan was still wondering why Lin Su's cultivation level had soared to such a terrifying height in just 100 years, surpassing him by so much. You have to know that he has not been idle for 100 years. Because of the stimulation of Lin Su's death, Zhang Yunfan has not been lazy at all in the past 100 years and has been practicing all the time. Zhang Yunfan is a gold-type heavenly spiritual root cultivator. There is no bottleneck before the divine transformation stage. Even so, he has only reached the late stage of pill formation, and is still far away from the great perfection state. Lin Su has actually reached the peak of the mid-nascent soul stage. Zhang Yunfan was a little strange and unconvinced at first, but now he is completely convinced. Two sisters, thanks to you for taking care of Xiao Linzi these years, thank you. Unlike Zhang Yunfan, Zizui'er's attention was focused on Ye Ping'er and Leng Lingyu. In the world of immortal cultivation, it was very common for a male monk to have several Taoist companions. It was not impossible for Zizui'er to understand. Listening to Lin Su as I said just now, these two are already her sisters. They will definitely be together for a long time in the future. It is very important to have a good relationship. Ye Ping'er and Leng Lingyu didn't dare to say anything. The two women were originally a little worried about how they would get along with Zizui'er after meeting them. After all, they could be regarded as latecomers who took advantage of the opportunity. Seeing Zizui'er, the eldest sister, always felt a little bit, feeling guilty. They didn't expect Zizui'er to be quite generous and showed no dissatisfaction or concern, which made the two women breathe a sigh of relief. Unlike Zhang Yunfan and Zizui'er, ancestor Xiang paid more attention to Jade Rakshasa Shen Baiun and Tyrant Bear King. After all, the cultivation of these two was more terrifying than the other, and their background was bigger than the other. He, the supreme ancestor of the Sword God sect in the middle stage of the pill formation, can be called the ancestor of the sect in front of others, but in front of these two people, he is a real junior, so it is not allowed to be disrespectful. What's more, Ancestor Xiang has been trapped in the middle stage of nascent soul for many years and has been unable to make any progress. If he can get some guidance from these two people, especially the Tyrant Bear King, he will definitely benefit a lot. Maybe he can find a way to break through. Unknown. The cultivation methods of the ghost tribe are different from those of human monks, so Jade Rakshasa Shen Baiun cannot give Patriarch Xiang too much good advice, but the Tyrant Bear King is different. The Demon King of the fairy world is not in vain. The Tyrant Bear King picked his teeth and looked at Patriarch Xiang up and down, then he grinned with a bright light in his eyes. Boy Xiang, your foundation for cultivating immortals is quite solid, and your qualifications are also good, but your bloodline a little less powerful. Then Senior Bear King, is there any way to remedy this? It has become very common for people to call him boy, but Patriarch Xiang is not dissatisfied at all. Instead, he has a humbly and respectful look on his face. Just kidding, this is the Demon King of the immortal world, and Patriarch Xiang is a grandson in front of him. I don't know how many generations younger my grandchildren are. What's unacceptable about being called boy? Look for Mr. Lin. When it comes to bloodline power, who can beat him? Just ask him to sacrifice some of his blood essence to help you make a pill and take it. The Tyrant Bear King smiled and moved towards Lin Sunu. Nuzui. Is it possible to use my essence and blood to make elixirs? Lin Su was stunned. What's not possible? Tyrant Bear King twitched the corner of his mouth and said, didn't you use blood essence to prepare a pill to help that fire dragon break through and evolve into a fire dragon? But the fire dragon is a monster and a branch of the dragon clan. My father-in-law is a human cultivator. Is this going to be a problem? Lin Su scratched his head. Although your physical body belongs to the dragon clan, your nascent soul is from the human clan. It is not an exaggeration to say that you are the leader of both families. The elixir refined from your essence and blood will definitely be able to make up for the bloodline power that your father-in-law lacks. What, don't you believe me, Grandpa Xiang? The Tyrant Bear King stared. Believe it? Of course I believe it. How could Lin Su say he didn't believe it? Didn't he see that the Xiang Patriarch was already staring at him? If he didn't serve his father-in-law well, how could he kidnap? No, he should marry a beautiful wife, right? Friendships between women, especially between beautiful women, are always established quickly. It didn't take long for Zizuir to get along with Ye Ping'er and Leng Lingyu. Even the always cold Jade Raxhasa Shen Baiun was pulled into the discussion team by the three women. Lin Su felt like an outsider. Suer. You see, I have been stuck at the peak of the middle stage of the nascent soul for so many years. Since Senior Bear King said that the elixir refined by your blood and essence can help me break through the bottleneck, what are you waiting for? With Tyrant Bear King by his side, the Xiang Patriarch could no longer call himself the ancestor and spoke more tactfully, but the meaning of his words was very clear, that is, to let Lin Su refine the elixir quickly. No problem, father-in-law, I will help you refine the elixir right now, but my blood and essence alone are not enough, and some auxiliary spiritual materials are needed, you see. What spiritual materials are needed? I will ask someone to prepare them right away. Ancestor Zi Yang made the decision without hesitation. Since the demon lord Leng Wuking broke through to the late nascent soul stage, Ancestor Zi Yang had suffered several defeats at the hands of the other party, and he had been furious for a long time. Now there is a way for him to break through. How can he bear it? Isn't it just spiritual materials? He will search the entire Sword God sect to gather them for Lin Su. At that moment, Ancestor Zi Yang couldn't sit still for a moment, and urged Lin Su to open the entrance of the spiritual field space and the outside world to send himself out, and took the list listed by Lin Su to ask someone to prepare the spiritual materials. Lin Su originally planned to chat with Zhang Yunfan about the topic between brothers, but this kid came to the side of Jade Raxhasa Shen Baiun and showed his courtesy. Originally, Shen Baiun's character would definitely not be polite to Zhang Yunfan, but after Tyrant Bear King said something, Shen Baiun's eyes lit up, and she liked Zhang Yunfan more and more. This sentence goes like this: golden spiritual root, pure yang body. Lin boy, your brother's qualifications are not much worse than yours. Shen girl, your luck is here. This boy is a pure yang body. With his help, you can turn from yin to yang and transform your ghost body into a yang body. The ghost clan is different from the human clan. They are most afraid of thunder tribulation, especially the 99 tribulations when they finally become immortals. Both human cultivators and ghost cultivators must go through it. Human cultivators have a physical body and have some resistance to thunder tribulation. Ghost cultivators are different. They are most afraid of this extremely strong and yang thunder force. Therefore, there is only one way for ghost cultivators to successfully survive the 99 tribulations. First, transform the ghost body into a yang body, and then survive the tribulation. Only in this way can they successfully survive the 99 tribulations and ascend to immortality. However, it is not so easy to transform a ghost body into a yang body. It is even more difficult than forming a ghost body with a soul and then cultivating safely to the crossing tribulation stage. Jade Rakshasa Shen Baiun had absorbed a lot of life force because of Lin Su's light before, and there was a little sign of yin and yang. However, to completely complete the transformation of the ghost body into a yang body, in addition to spending a lot of time, more opportunities are needed. And Zhang Yunfan is the best opportunity. This kid is a gold-type heavenly spiritual root cultivator with a spiritual root value of more than 90, and he has no Taoist partner so far. He belongs to the pure yang body. If he can combine with Jade Rakshasa Shen Baiun to rest on both sides will benefit greatly from the harmony of yin and yang. Zhang Yunfan can eliminate the excessive yang energy of the pure yang body, reach the realm of yin and yang balance, and further improve the cultivation and combat power. Shen Baiun can even use Zhang Yunfan's pure yang power to transform the ghost body into a yang body, so Tyrant Bear King will say this. It is very common for cultivators to become Taoist couples after falling in love with each other. Originally, Jade Rakshasa Shen Baiun did not think highly of Zhang Yunfan. After all, the difference in strength between the two was too huge. However, after Tyrant Bear King said this, Shen Baiun felt differently about Zhang Yunfan. This guy is simply the best candidate for Taoist couple. However, Zhang Yunfan's current cultivation level is too low. If he and Shen Baiun become Taoist couples now, he will not be able to withstand Shen Baiun's huge soul power. He will definitely be burst and die. If the two want to combine and practice together, they must wait until Zhang Yunfan reaches the fusion stage. Thanks to the book friend Xianxia for the 100 starting coins. Thanks to the book friend, for the 2 monthly tickets. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Dantian has a little field. Author, The Magic Orb Zoo. Chapter 236. Zhang Yunfan is now in the late stage of Jindan, which is a long way from the fusion stage. However, this kid is a pure yang body and a gold-type spiritual root cultivator. He is absolutely blessed with a unique speed of cultivation. If it weren't for Lin Su's other successes, he would definitely not be able to beat him. As long as Zhang Yunfan is given time, he will be able to reach the realm of the fusion stage sooner or later, but the prerequisite is that he can go to the spirit world. Because the spirit world has long been separated from the human world, the only way to go to the spirit world is to go through the space channel of the Deathland of the heavenly spirit world. However, in order to withstand the space-tearing force in the space channel, at least the cultivation of the middle stage of the primordial infant is required. There are still more than 500 years before the next arrival of the heavenly spirit world in the human world. As long as Zhang Yunfan can cultivate to the middle stage of the primordial infant within these 500 years, there will be no problem. With Zhang Yunfan's qualifications, this is not difficult to achieve. The same is true for others. Only those who reach the middle stage of the primordial infant are qualified to go to the spirit world. Among Lin Su's group, the few with the lowest cultivation are all in the late stage of Jindan. It is not difficult for them to cultivate to the middle stage of Yuanying within 500 years. Of course, if someone really fails to reach it, they can also hide in Lin Su's linked yen space and let Lin Su take them into the spirit world. However, everyone is arrogant. If they can't reach the middle stage of Yuanying in 500 years, then what's the point of talking about the great cause of immortality? It's better to give up this idea as soon as possible. At that moment, Zhang Yunfan said that he would stay in the linked space for closed-door cultivation. When he reaches the middle stage of yuanying, he will go out. He said it with a solemn promise, and Yu Luoxia Shenbaiun smiled again and again. Seeing Zhang Yunfan like this, Zizuir also decided to close the linked space and strive to break the den and become a baby as soon as possible. Of course, before that, she must make up the marriage with Lin Su first, and can't be together in such an unclear way. Yang Patriarch was very fast. He prepared all the natural materials and treasures that Lin Su needed in just a few days. He kept urging Lin Su to refine the elixir quickly, and even threatened that he would not let his daughter and Lin Su get married if he didn't refine the elixir. The father-in-law said, "Suer, I have been stuck at the peak of the middle stage of the nascent soul for more than 300 years. I really can't wait. You have caught up with me in cultivation. When we get married, where will I put my face when facing the other 4 major immortal sects and the immortal forest fellows from various sects and schools?" Lin Su heard that Yang Patriarch meant that if he didn't refine the elixir to let him break through to the late stage of the nascent soul, he would not hold a wedding for him and Zizuir. This was absolutely a naked threat. But the father-in-law is the most important person in the world. If the father-in-law doesn't agree, he won't be able to marry this beautiful wife. Lin Su had the urge to burst into tears for the almost bully-like coercion of Yang Patriarch. In the end, he had to compromise and spent 3 days to refine the dragon pill. This pill was created by Lin Su himself. It can only be refined by adding Lin Su's blood. The reason why it is called dragon pill is that it was used to fool the fire dragon. Father-in-law, I am not sure whether this dragon pill is effective. If it doesn't work, you can't blame me. When handing the dragon pill to Yang Patriarch, Lin Su emphasized it specifically, lest if the dragon pill can't help Yang Patriarch, the father-in-law will not let Zizuir marry him in anger. Fortunately, Tyrant Bear King's words were still very reliable. After taking the dragon transformation pill, Yang Patriarch successfully advanced to the late nascent soul stage and broke through the barrier after practicing for a month, which finally put Lin Su's heart at ease. After the breakthrough, the high-spirited Yang Patriarch immediately decided to hold a wedding for Lin Su and Zizuir in 2 months, and invite the other 4 major immortal sects and the major sects of the righteous way to come to the ceremony and discuss the counter-attack against the demon sect. In the past year or so, the 5 major immortal sects were beaten up by the demon section. If Lin Su had not returned from the Chaos Star Sea in time, I am afraid that the Danding sect and the Sword God sect would have been wiped out by the demon section. The other major immortal sects also suffered a lot at the hands of the demon section. Now that Yang Patriarch has broken through, plus Lin Su is so strong that he is abnormal, of course he must vent his anger on the demon sect and take back the place. Of course, it would be even better if the demon sect could be completely wiped out. Hello, Second Grand Elder. Hello, Second Grand Elder. Congratulations. The wedding date was set, and Lin Su naturally couldn't stay in the spiritual field space all the time. Although Yang Patriarch patted his chest and said that he would arrange everything, this was Lin Su's own wedding after all. Although he didn't have to do everything himself, he still had to understand the necessary things. What made Lin Su very strange was that every disciple of the Sword God sect he met looked at him with a respectful sunshine, greeted him, and congratulated him. Well, he saved the Sword God sect, and it was not strange for these disciples to worship him, but why did they all call him Second Grand Elder? Oh, this. Because you are now the Second Grand Elder of our Sword God sect, Zhang Yunfan replied. Originally, Zhang Yunfan had decided to go into seclusion directly in the spiritual field space, and would never come out until the nascent soul stage, but how could he, as a brother, not come out to arrange such an important matter as his good brother Lin Su's wedding? I became the Second Grand Elder? When did it happen? Lin Su was very surprised. Just a few days ago, the ancestor announced it himself. This is the rule of our Sword God section. Anyone who breaks through to the nascent soul stage will automatically become a Grand Elder. The other 4 major sects also have the same rule. Don't you know? Zhang Yunfan raised his eyebrows, and then said to himself as if he was stunned before Lin Su could answer, by the way, you haven't stayed in the sect for a few years at all. It's not surprising if you don't know. Lin Su was speechless. The second Taizhang elder should be the Taizhang second elder. At least it sounds good. It is much better than being Duan Tianshang's cheap disciple. The 2 of them descended from Burial Sword Peak and flew towards the main peak, Tianjian Peak. Lin Su planned to go to the Chor Hall to see how the preparations for the wedding were going. After all, in the Sword God sect, the disciples were assigned to trivial matters. The Miscellaneous Affairs Hall is responsible for everything. Although the appropriate size of Lin Su and Zizuer's wedding was decided by Xiang ancestor, the Miscellaneous Affairs Hall is responsible for the specific preparations. Hey, now we have some fun. In front of the door of the Tianjian Feng Miscellaneous Hall, Zhang Yunfan suddenly looked startled, and then a strange smile appeared on his face. Is it him? Lin Su looked up strangely. Isn't it the leader of the Sword God sect and Lin Su's former master Duan Tianshang who walked out of the Miscellaneous Affairs Hall? Duan Tianshang also saw Lin Su, and his expression couldn't help but change. The person he least wanted to see in the Sword God sect was definitely Lin Su. This once cheap disciple has now become a person with a higher status than him. Duan Tianshang really didn't know how to face the second elder Taizhang. Master Duan. Lin Su stopped, and Duan Tianshang also stopped. After the 2 looked at each other for a long time, Lin Su nodded lightly towards Duan Tianshang, then passed Duan Tianshang and walked towards the Miscellaneous Affairs Hall. Duan Tianshang, who had a bitter look on his face, looked at his back with a complicated expression. Lin Zi, why don't you humiliate this old guy and just let it go? Zhang Yunfan took a few steps to catch up with Lin Su and asked rather strangely. The past is over. After all, he was once my master and sister Xiaoling's father. Let's just think of it as repaying the favor to sister Xiaoling back then. Lin Su sighed and said, in fact, there was one thing he didn't say, which was that he suddenly had a boring feeling, because he knew very well that Duan Tianshang and his life would never have any intersection again. From now on, the other party would only being able to always look up at him from behind means that he and Duan Tianshang are no longer on the same level. 100 years have passed, and it's a world of difference when we meet again. Lin Su believes that the regret in his heart is enough to make Duan Tianshang's inner demons arise, so what does he have to worry about? The steward of the Miscellaneous Affairs Hall is no longer the old fatty Huang. 100 years are enough to change too many things. Fatty Huang, who could not reach a higher level of cultivation, ran out of life 10 years ago. Now the person in charge of the Miscellaneous Affairs Hall is Fatty Huang. His son Huang Swiping is also a fat man, and everyone in the Sword God sect calls him Huang Xiaopang. Huang Xiaopang had heard the legendary story of Lin Su in the Sword God sect from his father. He also witnessed it a month ago when Lin Su killed the demon sect Dao Lord Nangong Yufang and defeated the demon Lord Len Weivue. Now he saw Lin Su stood in front of him, his eyes suddenly full of admiration and excitement, and he was speechless. Lin Su looked at Huang Xiaopang's fat face that was 70% similar to Fatty Huang's, and suddenly felt filled with emotion. He thought that he owed Fatty Huang a favor back then, but now that he has passed away, this favor is no longer there. It can only be left to the descendants. This is an earth-based skill. How far you can practice it depends on your luck. After checking the preparations for the wedding, when leaving the Chor Hall, Lin Su threw Huang Xiaopang a fairly good earth-based exercise and a foundation-building pill. Thank you, second elder, for your gift. Huang Xiaopang stared blankly at the jade slip of the Kung Fu method and the jade bottle containing the foundation establishment pill in his hand. When he came to his senses, Lin Su had already left, and immediately he knelt on the ground with a pop and faced Lin Su. He kowtowed 3 times in the direction he was going and screamed with excitement. After leaving the chore hall, Lin Su and the two came to the Linko garden. After Lin Su left the Sword God sect, Zhang Yunfan came back to sit alone in the small wooden house in the Linko garden every time he missed him. His relationship with Jian Lingzi. The relationship between Zhang Yunfan and Jian Lingzi is getting deeper and deeper day by day, just like Lin Su. Although there is no name of master and disciple, there is a real relationship between Zhang Yunfan and Jian Lingzi. In the past 100 years, many people died in the war with the demon section. Jian Mi and Jian Lingzi died one after another. Zhang Yunfan set up a tomb for them in the Linko garden in the name of his disciples. Standing in front of the 2 tombs, Lin Su was speechless. After a while, he took out a bottle of wine and drank a few sips, then poured the rest in front of the tombs. He knelt down and kowtowed heavily before striding out of the spiritual grass garden. Dantian has a little field. Author, The Magic Orb Zoo. Chapter 237. After leaving Linko garden, Lin Su felt a little depressed. Hundreds of years have passed quickly, and things have changed when we meet again. Elder Jian Mi introduced Lin Su to the Sword God sect back then. He was kind to Lin Su, and Jian Lingzi was even more so. He secretly rescued Lin Su several times, and even taught Lin Su the mysterious elixir. Although he and Lin Su did not have the name of master and disciple, they were actually master and disciple. Knowing the news of their demise, Lin Su was inevitably sad. Carrot dash dot. Dot dash dot. Dot carrot dash. Immortals and immortals are also made by people, not to mention those who have not yet become immortals. Naturally, they cannot avoid being worried and sad. Previously, Lin Su was immersed in the joy of reuniting with Zhou and Zhang Yunfan and the excitement of the upcoming wedding. He didn't even think of asking about other old friends. If Zhang Yunfan hadn't led him to Linko Garden today, he probably wouldn't have known about the other people. Are Li Hao and Han Shui still alive? Since returning to the Sword God sect, Lin Su has not met a few familiar people except Zhou and the others. This is certainly related to the fact that he has not spent much time in the Sword God sect, but the more important reason is that the century-old war between good and evil has killed too many people. War is ruthless, especially such a large-scale war. Unless you can reach the level of being arrogant among the heroes, otherwise no one can guarantee that you will not be the next one to fall. It is better than Jian Mi and Jian Lingzi who have reached this level early. Masters of late-stage pill formation cannot escape the fate of if the earthen jar is broken without leaving the well, the general will inevitably die before the battle, let alone low-level monks like Li Hao and Han Shui. Lin Su is ready to hear bad news again. However, Zhang Yunfan's answer made Lin Su feel a lot better. Li Hao and Han Shui have returned to Wangtian Fairy City. After the news of your self-destruction of Daiji came, Li Hao and Han Shui said goodbye to the sect and returned to Wangtiangxian City, went to take over as the head of the Li and Han families. I heard that in order to avenge you, they teamed up to uproot the Zhao family from Wangtiangxian City. Now Wangtiangxian City is a 3-legged alliance between the Li and Han families and our Wangtian alliance. This is really good news. Li Hao and Han Shui are quite smart. With the cultivation levels of Li Hao and Han Shui at that time, they would definitely be reduced to cannon fodder on the battlefield. Leaving the Sword God sect and returning to Tianxian City to take over as the head of the family was definitely the wisest choice, as they could legitimately avoid the war between good and evil. Zhang Yunfan said that Li Hao and Han Shui joined forces to destroy the Zhao family to avenge themselves. Lin Su just smiled and said nothing. He knew very well that Zhang Yunfan would not lie to take credit for Li Hao and Han Shui in such a matter. This may be one of the reasons, but it is definitely not the main reason. Lin Su self-destruct Daiji at that time. In the eyes of the world, he was already dead in body and spirit, and he could not die anymore. It is impossible for Li Hao and Han Shui to attack the Zhao family just to vent their anger for him. If it was just for this reason, otherwise, it would be impossible for those two people to secure their positions as heads of the family. The reason why the Zhao family was destroyed was probably because the Five Elements sect's elder Chen Tao fell and was angered by the Five Elements section. Without the blessing of the Five Elements sect, the Zhao family became rootless duckweeds. In addition, there were no masters in the family after Zhao Liang's death. When they were in charge, they became veritable fat sheep in the eyes of the Li and Han families. Under such circumstances, how could Li Hao and Han Shui let go of such a good opportunity? It was only natural for them to join forces to destroy and divide it. Send an invitation to Li Hao and Han Shui each, and invite them to attend my wedding with Zui Er. No matter what the purpose of Li Hao and Han Shui was, they were always under the banner of revenge for Lin Su. In fact, they did help Lin Su out, and Lin Su couldn't help but appreciate it. I've already sent invitations to them, he he. Zhang Yunfan chuckled. With their status, Li Hao and Han Shui would never be invited. However, Zhang Yunfan had already expected that Lin Su would definitely invite them after knowing their whereabouts, so he had arranged for his disciples a few days ago. Invitations were sent to Li Hao and Han Shui, as well as to the current leaders of the Wangtian Alliance, Lu Gang and Lu Ruolai, brothers and sisters. I believe Lin Su would be very happy to see them. Lin Su nodded and flew towards the burial sword peak with the escape light. 2 months later, it was the wedding day of Lin Su and Zi Zhouer. The wedding of Zi Zui Er, the daughter of the Supreme Elder Xiang Patriarch of the Sword God sect, and Lin Su, the second Supreme Elder, is definitely the most eye-catching event in the world of immortality in recent years, because it not only represents a wedding, but also a wedding. It represents a huge change in the balance of strength between good and evil. The fact that Lin Su killed Dao Lord Nangong of the Demon Sect and defeated Demon Lord Leng Qingguo had already spread throughout the world of immortal cultivation. Anyone who didn't have too little information knew that the Sword God sect had such a pervert like Lin Su. In order to defeat the Demon King in the late nascent soul stage, he is ruthless and ruthless in his attacks. He is truly a peerless ruthless person. Less than 2 months after Lin Su returned to the Sword God sect, Zi Yang, the Supreme Elder of the Sword God sect, also broke through the bottleneck that had been in place for many years and reached the late nascent soul stage. As a result, the strength of the Sword God sect increased several times and was no longer weaker than the Sword God section. The Demon sect has become the veritable leader of the 5 immortal sects. Now the Sword God sect is holding a wedding in such a high-profile manner, inviting all parties, including some unknown small immortal sects, to be invited. Anyone with a bit of discernment knows that Patriarch Xiang is definitely a drunkard and has no intention of drinking. I am afraid that they are planning with all the forces on how to besiege the demon sect. The wedding ceremony was similar to the wedding of Lin Su and Ye Ping'er and Len Lingyu, and was very grand. However, immortal cultivators were different from ordinary mortals, and they were not particularly particular about these aspects. After the necessary ceremony, representatives of all forces were invited to the fairy spirit platform of Tianjian Peak. The one sitting in the first seat was naturally the Xiang Patriarch. Lin Su sat on his left, and on the right was the head of the sect Duan Tianshang, but he was just a facade decoration now, and the Xiang Patriarch had the final say on major matters. Everyone, we are all from the righteous path, so I won't beat around the bush. Today is not only the wedding day of my daughter and son-in-law, but also the day when we, the righteous path, officially launch a counterattack against the demon sect. Old ancestor Zi Yang paused, and seeing that no one questioned him, he nodded with satisfaction and continued, I don't need to say more. Everyone knows that in recent years, the demon sect has become powerful and has killed many righteous deists. You all hate the demon sect very much. Now that I have broken through to the late nascent soul stage, together with my son-in-law, we can deal with the demon lord and the other 3 Dao lords. It's not a problem, so I think we should take advantage of this to counterattack the demon section. What do you think? Fellow Daoist Zi Yang is right. Now is the best time to counterattack the demon section. I, Qinji sect, second the proposal. I, Lingyuan sect, agree. I, Wuxing sect, agree. The great ancestors of the three major sects all spoke up to support Zai Yang's suggestion to counterattack the demon section. The great ancestor of Dan Ding sect, Dan Yuanzi, stood up directly from his seat, walked to Lin Su, clasped his fists, bowed, and saluted Lin Su under the strange eyes of everyone. Brother Dan Yuanzi, what are you doing? Get up quickly, I can't bear your great gift. Lin Su was startled and hurriedly helped Dan Yuanzi up. Little friend Lin, you deserve this gift. If it weren't for your help, our Danding sect would have been destroyed by the demon sect. Dan Yuanzi bowed to Lin Su again with gratitude, then turned to Xiang Patriarch and said loudly, on behalf of Danding sect, I declare here that no matter what decision the Sword God sect makes, our Danding sect firmly supports it. Daiyu Dan Yuanzi, what did you say about Daiyu Lin helping? The fact that Lin Su rescued Danding sect was not made public, so the people present did not know about it. It's like this. When the demon sect attacked the Sword God sect, Dao Lord Dongfang Yu also led thousands of masters of the demon sect to attack our Danding section. To be honest, the battle had already reached the Danking Palace. If it weren't for Lin Xiao's appearance and killing a large number of demon sect monks and scaring Dongfang Yu away, I'm afraid our Danding sect would have been destroyed by the demon sect. Dan Yuanzi didn't hide anything. This matter would be publicized sooner or later. Although it was a very shameful thing to be almost wiped out by the demon sect before reaching the Danking Palace, the other three major sects would probably not be able to resist in that situation. Everyone took a breath and looked at Lin Su with surprise. It's not that Lin Su was so great that he could scare Dongfang Yu away. Even the demon lord Len Wuking was driven away by him. What was Dongfang Yu, the first Dao lord, worth? What surprised everyone was the time. According to Dan Yuanzi, Lin Su rescued Dan Ding sect first and then rushed to Jianshen sect for rescue. However, Dan Ding sect and Jianshen sect were separated by more than 100,000 miles. Lin Su actually reached Jianshen sect in just one day. This was too incredible. The escape light of a Yuanying cultivator was indeed extremely fast, but at most it could only travel 10,000 miles a day. It would take at least 10 days to travel a distance of more than 100,000 miles. How did Lin Su get there in one day? Ahem. Let's not talk about the past. Today we are discussing the counterattack against the demon section. Fellow Daoist Dan Yuanzi, please return to your seat. Zai Yang Patriarch coughed twice. Only he knew how Lin Su got to Jianshen sect in one day. He borrowed the power of Tyrant Bear King to teleport continuously, but this matter could not be spread casually. Everyone, do you have any doubts about the counterattack against the demon sect? No one expressed any objection. The demon sect has lost its Taoist master Nangong Yufang and many Jindan stage elites. It can be said that it is at its lowest point in strength. The righteous side has Lin Su, a peerless strongman who is capable of fighting against the demon lord Len Wuking, and the ancestor Xiang has also broken through to the late Yuanying stage. The power of the Sword God sect alone can fight the demon sect on par, not to mention the help of the other four major immortal gates. It can be said that the strength of the righteous is absolutely in the upper hand now. If you don't take action to counterattack under such circumstances, you are definitely mentally ill. With the five major immortal gates charging in front, other forces are naturally happy to follow behind to cheer and beat the drowning dog. Thanks to the book Friend Wolf comes for voting for 1 monthly ticket. Dantian has a little field. Author, The Magic Orb Zoo. Chapter 238. The date for the counterattack against the demon sect was set for half a month later. Lin Su sent Zizuer to retreat in the spirit field space. He did not intend to let Zizuer participate in the demon sect's counterattack half a month later. In this kind of battle between good and evil, among them, if one's personal strength does not reach the nascent soul stage, he is basically no different from cannon fodder. Searched can on Google. What can really determine the outcome of both good and evil depends on the duel between the nascent soul stage monks. As for Xianxia and Zhang Yunfan, it is better to follow the promise they made and stay in seclusion in the spirit field space. Then Lin Su went to meet sisters Li Hao, Han Shui, and Lu Gang. Although they attended the wedding, due to their strength and status, they could only watch from a distance. They had no part in discussing the counter-attack against the demon sect later. At this moment, everyone was very excited to meet Lin Su up close. "Brother Lin, you are alive again, great." Looking at Lu Ruolai, who was looking at him with a face full of surprise and a slight blush on his face, Lin Su was speechless for a while. Why did this sound so awkward? "Little sister, please call me Senior Lin," Lu Gang glared at Lu Ruolai and said. "No, just call me Brother Lin, just like before." Lin Su waved his hand and said, "In the world of immortality, strength is respected." Strictly speaking, Lu Ruolai and the others should indeed call Lin Su Senior, but this seems too alienating and sounds awkward. "It seems that you have been doing well over the years." Among the four, Li Hao has the highest cultivation level. He is currently in the early stage of the foundation establishment. Han Shui, Lu Gang, and Lu Ruolai are all in the late stage of the foundation establishment, and have stayed in this realm for more than 20 years. Although the Li Han family and the Wangtian alliance are in a three-legged position in Wangtian Immortal City, the resources for cultivation are still not comparable to those in the Sword God section. However, there are advantages to every disadvantage, and the war between good and evil that has swept almost the entire world of immortal cultivation has not been affected. To Wangtian Fairy City, so the four of them can live well until now. No matter when it is, only those who can survive will have a future. If they fall midway, then no matter what level of cultivation they have achieved, it will be nothing. "Brother Lin, where have you been all these years? Why has there been no news about you?" There was a hint of resentment in Lu Ruolai's voice. "This, I can't explain it in a sentence or two. It's all over, so don't mention it again." Although Lu Ruolai and the others were also friends of Lin Su, their relationship with Zhang Yunfan and Zizuier was far inferior to that of Zhang Yunfan and Zizuier. Lin Su could tell Zhang Yunfan and Zizuier some things, but he couldn't tell Lu Ruo a few people from Li said clearly. Seeing that Lin Su didn't want to say more, Lu Gang and the others knew better and didn't ask any more questions. Although Lin Su still treated them as before and didn't put on any airs, they could still feel the huge distance for no reason. The huge gap in cultivation and status between them is there, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist without thinking about it. However, you know clearly that Lu Ruolai's eyes when looking at Lin Su were still full of resentment. She knew that the gap between herself and Lin Su was getting bigger and bigger, so big that she didn't even have the courage to try to cross it. None. "Well, I have something else to do. If I have a chance in the future, I will go to Wangtian Fairy City to see you. Let's take a step first." Lin Su naturally noticed Lu Ruolai's resentful gaze, and suddenly felt a numb scalp. He had always known Lu Ruolai's affection for him, but he also knew that there was absolutely no possibility between him and Lu Ruolai. What's more, he already has 3 beautiful wives, Zizhou, Ye Ping and Leng Lingyu, who are both beautiful and powerful. He really doesn't want to provoke anyone else. Just as he was about to leave, Lin Su suddenly remembered something and took out a bottle of pills and handed them to Lu Ruolai. "Here are 3 dust-falling pills, one for each of you, Brother Lu and junior sister Han. I hope it can do something for you. Help." Dust-falling pill. A dust-falling pill that can greatly increase the chance of forming a pill? Lu Ruolai was stunned for a moment. When he recovered and looked up, Lin Su had disappeared from sight. The main altar of the demon sect is located in the Guangming Mountains in the northern part of the world of immortality, on a strange peak called the Sun and Moon Peak. The aura of heaven and earth in the Guangming Mountains has a strong light attribute, which is exactly the same as the darkness and death attributes of the demon sect's skills. On the contrary, Sun Moon Peak is an extremely strange place, because it is filled with thick dark energy all year round, mixed with the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. It is exactly the opposite of other places in the Guangming Mountains, and it looks extremely strange. No one thought that there would be such a different place as Sun Moon Peak in the Guangming Mountains, so no one thought that the demon sect had been hiding here for many years and quietly developing and growing. Until the demon sect reappeared in front of the world, the 5 immortal sects, only then did they discover that the other party had been ambushing under their noses, developing in the place they thought was least likely to exist, and had developed to a point where it could compete with them or even become more powerful. However, when the 5 immortal sects realized this, the demon sect had already made a complete comeback. The combined power of the 5 immortal sects could only start a tug of war with the demon sect, and could not suppress the demon sect anymore. The ground fell to a disadvantage and was almost destroyed by Demon Lord Leng Weivue after he broke through. If it weren't for Lin Su's sudden turn, the demon sect might have wiped out the 5 major immortal sects and brought the entire world of immortality under its control. Unfortunately, there is no if in this world, so the demon sect now zone can only shrink his power back to Sun Moon Peak. Of course, with the mind of Demon Lord Leng Weivue, he would not have thought that the 5 major immortal sects would take this opportunity to counterattack the demon sect, so he had already sent spies to inquire about the movements of the 5 major immortal sects. Shenzhen, our spies have sent news that the people of the 5 major immortal sects have decided to besiege the holy sect in half a month. What should we do? The Sword God sect held a wedding for Lin Su and Zizuir, and at the same time invited all forces to prepare to besiege the demon section. The spies sent by Leng Weivue were naturally able to find out. It's not that Xiang Patriarch has never thought about the importance of speed and caught the demon sect off guard before they got the news and were not ready. It's a pity that this idea is beautiful but unrealistic. First of all, the 5 major immortal sects have suffered losses in recent years, especially in the past year. It will take a lot of time to gather forces for this counterattack. What's more, it's not only the 5 major immortal sects that will participate in the counterattack. Various small and medium-sized immortal sects and some small forces that hate the demon sect will also join. Half a month is already a short time. Therefore, although they knew that the people of the demon sect would receive the news and strengthen their defense, they could only set the time to half a month later to give all forces some time to prepare. In any case, in the eyes of the Xiang Patriarch, the demon sect is already a grasshopper after autumn, and it will not be able to jump for a few days. This time, the righteous will crush it with absolute strength and completely destroy the demon sect. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Dantian has a little field. Author, The Magic Orb Zoo. Chapter 239. When the enemy comes, we will fight him. When the water comes, we will block it with earth. What is there to be afraid of? The demon lord Leng Weivue scolded. How can the 5 major immortal sects take down the Sun and Moon Peak? If they don't come, it's fine. If they really dare to come, I will make them all die on the Sun and Moon Peak. Sir Saint, what do you mean? Are you going to activate that formation? I don't know what he thought of, but the demon sect disciple who reported the news suddenly had a face full of fear and screamed. You are very smart, but it's a pity that smart people don't live long. A cold light flashed in Leng Weiveu's eyes, and he stretched out his hand to point at the demon sect disciple who reported the news. A black light shot out from his fingertips and hit the demon sect disciple's eyebrows. Then he saw his eyes suddenly widened and quickly lost their luster, but in the blink of an eye, he had turned into a dead body. Lin Su, if you dare to come, I will let you taste the power of the blood pagoda array and let you die without a burial place. Shooting a line of fire to burn the corpse to ashes, Leng Weiveu's cold voice rang out in the hall. which seemed extremely creepy in this empty hall. "Father-in-law, are you sure this is the location of the demon sect's headquarters?" On the huge warship, Lin Su and Xianxia Patriarch stood side by side at the bow, feeling the bursts of light power in the spiritual energy of heaven and earth in the mountains below. Lin Su was speechless. The people of the demon sect were not stupid, right? Why did they choose such a place as the headquarters? It shouldn't be wrong. The spies reported that the demon sect's headquarters is on the Sun and Moon Peak in the Bright Mountains. It is said that the Sun and Moon Peak is a piece of magic land, which is very different from other places in the Bright Mountains. It is estimated that the demon sect deliberately chose such a place as the headquarters to conceal its tracks. Should. Heard. Estimated. Lin Su felt so upset when he heard his father-in-law's words. Damn, are you kidding me? We are here to besiege the demon sect, not to travel. We dare to bring a large group of people here without even knowing the situation of the other party. If we are ambushed, wouldn't it be unfair to die? But the other party is his father-in-law. If he complains, Lin Su can only mutter in his heart and dare not say it out loud. He can only pray that he will not be tricked by others. What Lin Su didn't know was that Xianxia Patriarch was also smiling bitterly in his heart. It's not that he didn't want to investigate the situation before taking action. The key is that there is no time. If he really waits for the demon sect to make full preparations before attacking, the loss will be huge. There is no way. The rise of the demon sect was too sudden. The forces of the 5 major immortal gates have never been able to get close to the Bright Mountains, let alone reach the Sun and Moon Peak. In the past year or so, they have been suppressed by the other side and retreated to their respective mountain gates. How can they have extra energy to find out the news of the demon sect? Although Lin Su's return caused a big loss to the demon sect and greatly weakened the strength of the demon sect, as the saying goes, the tiger dies but the might remains. Moreover, the demon sect only suffered a defeat. Although its strength has suffered a considerable loss, it has not yet reached the point of breaking its bones. In addition, the demon lord Leng Lingyu took the initiative to narrow the defense line and withdraw most of the demon sect's forces back to the Bright Mountains. It is already quite difficult for the cultivators of the 5 major immortal gates to find out that the demon sect's headquarters is in the Sun and Moon Peak. How can they have extra energy to find out the situation in the mountains? In fact, if it weren't for the participation of such a pervert as Lin Su, even if the Xianxia Patriarch had broken through to the late nascent soul stage, he would not dare to come and besiege the demon sect's headquarters. Although Xianxia Patriarch was full of confidence when he faced the representatives of various forces on the Tianjian Peak Immortal Spirit platform, as if the demon sect could be destroyed in a snap, in fact, he had no confidence at all. He even thought that if the siege was not going well, he would withdraw quickly, so that he could save the Green Mountains and not worry about the firewood. At worst, he would return to the previous state of tug-of-war and slowly look for opportunities. What Xianxia Patriarch thought in his heart was to take advantage of the opportunity that the demon sect was now injured and Lin Su, a pervert with super strong combat power, could help him to beat the demon sect hard. Even if he could not destroy it, he would make the demon sect suffer a lot and lose its previous glory, so as to buy time for the 5 major immortal sects to develop. Lin Su did not know what Xianxia Patriarch was thinking, otherwise he would turn around and leave without saying a word. This old man was simply pushing him into the fire pit. He is indeed very strong, but not invincible. After the battle in front of the Sword God Sect's mountain gate, the demon lord Leng Wuking will certainly be on guard against him. Now they are running to the opponent's headquarters to fight. If the opponent has any powerful tricks to deal with him, he will probably suffer a great loss. Report to the ancestor, a small group of demon sect monks were found in the Bright Mountains, and they have all been defeated. Got it, continue to investigate. Yes. Disciples kept reporting the discovery and repulsion of demon sect monks. Listening to these news, Lin Su did not feel very happy, but frowned tightly. Strange, something is not right. Logically speaking, this bright mountains is the location of the demon sect's headquarters, and the defense should be very tight. How come only a few small groups of enemies have been found along the way, and their combat power is not a little bit worse? Basically they will collapse at the touch of a button, and it seems that they are intentionally or unintentionally leading them to the location of the Sun and Moon Peak. Something is wrong. Very wrong. The more he thought about it, the more he felt something was wrong. Lin Su suddenly yelled, "Stop, everyone stop. What's wrong? What happened? What's wrong? What's wrong? Is the demon sect coming to kill us?" Lin Su's roar was like thunder in the sky, which frightened everyone. They thought that the people of the demon sect were coming to attack them. They stopped the warships in a panic and waited for them. After waiting for a long time, they found that there was no movement at all. They looked at each other in confusion and cast puzzled eyes at Lin Su. "Su'er, what did you find?" Xianxia Patriarch also looked at Lin Su in confusion. "Father-in-law, don't you think it's strange? We attacked the demon sect headquarters with such a big fanfare, why didn't the demon sect react at all? It's just a symbolic sending of a small number of disciples to harass them. This is really not in line with the demon sect's usual style of doing things." Lin Su did not lower his voice. Everyone on the dozen warships heard his words clearly. Everyone was not stupid and quickly reacted. "That's right. What fellow deist Lin said makes sense. This is indeed not the style of the demon sect. Things that are out of the ordinary must be demons. Maybe the demon sect has set a trap for us, we must be on guard. We know too little about the situation of the demon section. If we rush in like this, we may suffer a loss. Then why don't we go back first and wait until we find out clearly before making any plans?" Lin Su listened to the discussions of the cultivators in silence. The battle has not started yet, but he just guessed that the demon sect might have an ambush, and he actually scared the other party. One by one, they all backed down. If they really fought with the demon sect, it would be fine if the battle went well, but if the battle went badly, they would be defeated. What is the righteous way of besieging the demon sect? With such a group of rabble, it is simply dragging itself down. It is far less safe than the 5 major immortal sects sending elite masters to attack directly. At least that way, when the situation is unfavorable, it will not cause chaos. Complaining in his heart, Lin Su cast a questioning look at the Xiang Patriarch. It happened that the father-in-law was also looking at him with a questioning look. Lin Su couldn't help but sigh. Well, it seems that no one can be relied on. His life is to work hard. Father-in-law, it may not be appropriate for us to rush directly to the Sun and Moon Peak. I am almost certain that the demon sect will set up an ambush at the Sun and Moon Peak. If the battle situation is unfavorable, the disciples of the 5 major immortal sects will be fine, but the others may turn around and run away. If the morale is disrupted, it will be a big loss. Then Su'er, what do you think we should do? The Xiang Patriarch also saw the situation of the crowd, but he couldn't think of any good solution. In terms of cultivation and combat power, except for Lin Su, the perverted kid, Xiang Patriarch is definitely not inferior to anyone, but when it comes to making plans, Xiang Patriarch can only admit that he is not that kind of material, which is why he gave up the position of the head to the previous head of the Sword God sect. Well. After thinking about it, Lin Su looked around and asked loudly, "Are there any masters who are good at illusion?" Illusion. The cultivators were stunned at first, and then their eyes were cast on a warship. It was a warship belonging to the Qingji section. When it comes to mechanical illusion, the Qingji sect is second in the entire cultivation world, and no one dares to be the first. How could I forget this? Lin Su slapped his forehead. In addition to the 5 Elements sect and the Dantian sect, he had basically no contact with the other 2 major immortals, and as a result, he forgot the best skills of the Qingji sect. "Brother Tianji, Please cast an illusion to hide everyone's figures, and then copy everyone's illusions, and let these illusions follow me to Sun and Moon Peak." Flying to the warship of Qinji sect, Lin Su clasped his fists to Tianji Patriarch, the supreme elder of Qinji sect. "Little friend Lin is so righteous, I admire you." Tianji Patriarch understood what Lin Su meant as soon as he heard it. He wanted to go to Sun and Moon Peak alone, and cast an illusion just to make the people of the demon sect think that everyone followed him. In this way, if the demon sect really had an ambush, only Lin Su would be ambushed. It's not about righteousness or not, I just think it's the most appropriate way to do it. Lin Su smiled faintly, he was not being modest, but speaking the truth. If the demon sect really has an ambush, the more people there are, the more trouble there will be, and they might even hold him back. It would be much more convenient if there is only one person. If that doesn't work, he can borrow the power of Tyrant Bear King to teleport away. I think with the strength of Demon Lord Len Wuking, he is not capable of blocking the space, right? Dantian has a little field. Author, The Magic Orb Zoo. Chapter 240. Lord Saint, the people from the 5 major sects have stopped. Since Lin Su and his companions entered the Bright Mountains, their whereabouts have been reported to the Demon Lord Len Wuking by the disciples of the demon section. In Len Wuking's eyes, the real enemies are only the 5 major sections. As for the other small and medium sects, they are just vassals, not even cannon fodder. Strange, did they notice something? Impossible, there was no sign at all before the Blood Pagoda formation was activated. How could they guess it? Len Wuking frowned. He deliberately sent only a small group of demon sect disciples to lure Lin Su and his companions to the Blood Pagoda formation under the Sun and Moon Peak as soon as possible. Who would have thought that Lin Su and his companions actually stopped? Did the plan leak out? It shouldn't be. The talkative demon sect disciple had been silenced by him. It shouldn't have been leaked. Sir, the people from the 5 major sects are moving forward again. It is expected that they will reach the foot of Sun Moon Peak in 2 hours. Just when Demon Lord Len Wuking was puzzled, new news came that the 5 major sects were moving forward again. Len Wuking couldn't help but laugh. It seemed that he was too nervous and suspicious. Maybe the people from the 5 major sects were just delayed for a while because of something. Okay, no need to lure them anymore. I'll return to the demon spirit platform to assemble. Yes, sir. At this time, thousands of miles away from Sun Moon Peak, the warships of the 5 major sects were continuing to fly towards Sun Moon Peak. The voices of the disciples of the 5 major sects on the warships could be vaguely heard. On the warship of the Sword God sect, Lin Su looked at the fellows and warships around him, and couldn't help smacking his lips, secretly praising in his heart. It's true that every profession has its own specialty. The illusion of the old ancestor Tianji is really amazing. That's right, the warships and the cultivators from the 5 major sects that Lin Su saw were all illusions created by the Tianji Patriarch. In fact, only Lin Su was flying towards the Sun and Moon Peak. The others all hid their bodies in the places where they had stopped before, waiting for news from Lin Su. Not to mention the cultivators from the demon sect who were responsible for gathering information. Even if Lin Su himself didn't know that the disciples from the 5 major sects were just illusions cast by the Tianji Patriarch, he would probably believe it. Of course, if he activated the silver eyes that break illusions, this illusion would naturally not be hidden from him. However, Lin Su's silver eyes that break illusions didn't mean that the cultivators from the demon sect also had similar secret skills, so the news that Demon Lord Len Wuking received was that the 5 major sects continued to set off again. I don't know what kind of trap the demon sect will set up. But if I'm alone, I can fight if I can, and run if I can't. Anyway, I'm not a burden. Laughing, Lin Su increased the speed of flight, which showed that the speed of the entire fleet increased suddenly. This is the power of the Tianji Patriarch. When the illusion is cast on Lin Su, the illusions around will be adjusted accordingly according to Lin Su's behavior. It can be called a magical skill. Because of the speed increase, Lin Su arrived at the Sun and Moon Peak half an hour earlier than the time estimated by the Demon Lord Len Wuking. From a distance, the Sun and Moon Peak is a solitary peak that pierces the clouds. The whole mountain is bare and there is no grass or trees. The rocks are black, and layers of black smoke can be seen coming out of the mountain. It is very similar to the dark demonic energy in the Deathland of the Tianling realm. Lin Su looked at it for a long time but didn't connect this solitary peak with the sun and moon, and didn't know how the name came about. Just as he was about to fly closer to observe more carefully, he suddenly felt a familiar huge suction force, and Lin Su staggered. Damn it! It's a forbidden air zone. Lin Su immediately reacted. This Sun and Moon Peak was actually a forbidden air zone. Lin Su had encountered similar areas more than once. There were similar areas in the Wilderness Ancient Domain and the God and Demon Secret Realm. He hurriedly urged the Dragon Yuan to resist the huge suction force of the forbidden air zone, and Lin Su hurriedly retreated. Fortunately, his strength was not what it used to be, and there was still some distance from the Sun and Moon Peak. He finally withstood the suction force and successfully retreated out of the forbidden air zone. In fact, with Lin Su's current physical strength, even if he fell to the ground from mid-air, he would not be hurt. However, if he really fell to the ground, the illusion would definitely reveal a flaw. The demon sect cultivators were not fools, and then all his plans would be ruined. The illusion of the old ancestor Tianji was set on Lin Su, and the other party also taught Lin Su how to control the illusion. In fact, it is not difficult, and it only requires some true energy. The Sun and Moon Peak is a restricted airspace area. If you want to get close, you can only walk on the ground. Lin Su slowly landed on the ground and controlled the illusion to make the same reaction. In the eyes of the demon sect monks on the Sun and Moon Peak, the people of the 5 major immortal sects noticed the restricted airspace and had to retreat and land the warship to approach the Sun and Moon Peak on foot. Haha, these idiots from the 5 major sects actually wanted to attack Sun Moon Peak from the air. They are really stupid. It's a pity that they didn't react quickly enough. Otherwise, if they fell from the air like this, a lot of people would be killed without us having to do anything. But these righteous people from the 5 major sects are really stupid. They dared to approach. They really don't know how to write the word death. On the demon spirit platform, a large number of demon sect cultivators were talking about it. They didn't realize that the scene at the foot of the mountain in the distance was an illusion. Instead, they thought that the people from the 5 major sects were as stupid as pigs. They didn't even retreat when they encountered the forbidden air zone, and continued to move towards Sun Moon Peak without knowing whether to live or die. At this time, outside the main hall at the top of Sun Moon Peak, Demon Lord Len Wuking and his 3 Dao Lords were standing in front of the cliff, watching the 5 great immortal sects cultivators who had completely entered the foot of Sun Moon Peak and were walking up the mountain road. I thought this Lin Su had some outstanding qualities, but it turns out that he is just like that old guy Zai Yang, a simple-minded idiot with strong limbs. I really overestimated him. But it's good this way, the 5 great immortal sects have come out in full force, just right for me to catch them all in one fell swoop. A trace of disdain flashed across Len Wuking's face, and he ordered Dongfang Yu and the other 2, Dongfang, it's time to activate the Blood Pagoda formation. Sage Lord, do you really want to use the Blood Pagoda formation? This will also hurt our disciples of the demon section. Dongfang Yu hesitated. Humph. To accomplish great things, a few sacrifices are nothing. Len Wuking sneered, the Blood Pagoda formation starts from the foot of the mountain. As long as a certain number of people are sacrificed, it can fully exert its power. With the number of cultivators from the 5 major sects attacking this time, it should be enough to meet the sacrifice conditions of the Blood Pagoda formation. Even if there are some shortcomings, at most, only a few blood disciples will be sacrificed. But those who accomplish great things are not particular about trivial matters. One general success is the result of the sacrifice of thousands of people. Do you need me to tell you these truths that ordinary mortals understand? Len Wuking's eyes flashed with a trace of cruelty, and said, if you can't bear to see those disciples die, then sacrifice them instead. With the blood and flesh of the nascent soul stage as sacrifices, the blood pagoda formation will naturally not need so many sacrifices. Choose for yourself. Sage Lord, calm down. I'll do it right away. Dongfang Yu panicked. The demon lord Len Wuking was as his name suggests. He was absolutely ruthless to those who dared to disobey him. Don't think that he was one of the 4 great Dao lords under him, no, now he was the capable general of the head of the 3 great Dao lords. If he disobeyed his decision, the other party would definitely make him a sacrifice. As the blood pagoda formation was activated, a strange wave came from under the earth. Lin Su, who was climbing up the mountain road, sensed this wave sharply. This wave doesn't feel good. A bad premonition flashed through Lin Su's mind. He frowned slightly, but still walked up the mountain road slowly. It's not that Lin Su is really arrogant to the point of thinking that he is invincible, but mainly because he is not completely helpless against this forbidden air area. The forbidden air area is not absolutely forbidden air, and it cannot prohibit the innate flying ability. Lin Su has experienced this when he was at the meteorite peak in the god and demon space. Just now, when Lin Su was running the Dragon Yuan, he also found that the influence of the forbidden air area on him was weakened. Although he still couldn't resist it completely, it at least showed one thing, that is, when he recovered into the form of a dragon, he could definitely get rid of the forbidden air restriction of the Sun and Moon Peak. It is precisely because of this confidence that Lin Su did not retreat at all when he knew that the Sun and Moon Peak was a forbidden air area. This is certainly because he didn't want the people of the demon sect to see the flaws of the illusion, but more importantly, Lin Su was confident that he could retreat unscathed. If it didn't work, he could just risk exposing his dragon body and fly away from the Sun and Moon Peak. Anyway, he had already revealed his true dragon body once before the gate of the Sword God sect. Boom! A faint blood-colored mist seeped out from under the ground, spreading toward the Sun and Moon Peak, and quickly rose to where Lin Su was, covering him. At the moment when the blood-colored mist came into contact with Lin Su, the illusion cast by the Tianji Patriarch suddenly broke with a slight sound, and the illusions of the 5 major immortal sects disappeared. Oh no, I'm exposed. What kind of mist is this? It can even break the illusion cast by the Tianji Patriarch. Lin Su felt that his blood and qi were accelerating, so he quickly circulated the Dragon Yuan to suppress it. He was in doubt, thinking that this might be a trap set by the demon sect. Why did all the monks from the 5 major sects disappear? Oh no, this is an illusion. Damn it! We were fooled. This is an illusion. The people from the 5 major sects didn't come. The monks of the demon sect on the demon spirit platform shouted one by one, with shock and anger on their faces. They were laughing at the stupidity of the monks from the 5 major sects before, but now it seems that they are the ones who are really stupid. It's already this time, and you still care about whether you've been fooled or not. Look at that blood-red mist, that's the evil spirit that can only be emitted by the blood pagoda formation.